Welcome back, deep divers. Today we're diving into something really unique.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's excerpts from a Spanish novel, Caballo de Troya 7.
Okay.
But this isn't just any novel. It's packed with the author's real-life research, this J J Benítez guy.
Interesting. So like a blend of fiction and fact.
Exactly.
Huh.
And get this, we're going to time travel back to 1973
Okay.
and join two American pilots on a top-secret mission.
Ooh, I love a good secret mission. What's it called?
Codename Trojan Horse.
Trojan Horse, huh? I like it. Where are they headed?
Their destination, Jerusalem,
Yep.
in the year 30 A.D.
Wow, right in the thick of things. What's their objective?
Initially, they're tasked with documenting the aftermath of Jesus' crucifixion.
Wow, that's heavy stuff, but I have a feeling things don't go exactly according to plan.
You got that right. Now, these pilots, Jason and Eliseo,
Yeah.
what do you think drives them to, go beyond those official orders?
Well, they're both facing terminal illnesses. It's a side effect of time travel, can you imagine?
Oh, wow.
And they have this intense fascination with Jesus. So they decide, they've got to make the most of their time. They jump back further to August of 25 A.D.
So they're not just there to passively observe a historical event.
No. They're seeking something much deeper.
Yeah.
Something more personal.
And this pursuit leads them where?
To Mount Hermon, a place that held immense religious significance in ancient times.
Mount Hermon, the setting for what exactly?
They witness what's described as a transcendental event. Jesus, at 31 years old, seemingly recovers his divinity, becoming the man-God.
Mount Hermon. Steeped in history and belief, wow. What an experience for them. They're getting a much closer view of Jesus than anyone could have imagined.
Oh, yeah. They describe him as tall for the time, 1.81 meters, incredibly athletic, noting his strength, even his swimming skills.
Okay, so a very different picture than what we typically see.
Totally. It paints his picture of Jesus as a man of remarkable physicality, contrasting with the more ethereal depictions we usually see.
It makes you wonder how those firsthand observations would have shaped their understanding of him, seeing him in such a human light. But they're also experiencing everyday life in that era.
Right. They end up at this inn by Lake Huel.
Okay.
You got a picture at the sights, the smells of fresh fish, the sounds of people and animals. A bustling scene.
So a typical inn, but with a twist, right?
Yeah. This inn isn't just a place to rest. It's also home to people who were kind of marginalized, labeled as possessed or demented because of their mental and physical illnesses.
And that's where they meet Asi.
Asi.
He's an Essene physician.
Oh, the Essenes. Weren't they like a Jewish sect known for their communal living and focus on purity?
Exactly. Asi becomes key to their understanding, especially around the beliefs about illness and healing.
Yeah, that makes sense. You'd have a very different perspective on those things.
One encounter stands out. They meet this young man named Aru. He's in the middle of a mental breakdown.
Oh, wow. That must have been scary for them.
The pilots are terrified. They want to help, but Jesus intervenes.
What happens?
It's described as a powerful moment of healing. Jesus doesn't even say a word. But with this look of profound tenderness, he calms Aru. Everyone's speechless.
It's a miracle, right. But isn't this before his public ministry? When we usually associate his miracles.
Exactly. And Asai sheds light on how they treated mental illness back then, using things like hawk meat and viper flesh.
Hawk meat. Viper flesh.
I know it sounds crazy to us now, but it highlights those vast differences in how they understood medicine.
Makes you appreciate how far we've come.
Speaking of different perspectives, there's Teneblas.
Teneblas, what kind of a name is that?
Asai's right-hand man. His nickname actually means darkness.
Okay, that sounds ominous. Why is he called Darkness?
He's got this genetic condition that causes, excessive hair growth. People see him as monstrous.
Oh, wow. So it's just his appearance.
But despite how intimidating he looks, he's described as being kind and gentle. Really challenges those assumptions about judging people based on how they look.
Yeah, it makes you think, how often do we do that even today? We could be missing out on connecting with someone truly amazing.
Remember that innkeeper, Sitio?
Sitio, oh yeah. He was obsessed with that Jewish sage, Hillel, right?
Yes. And when they return to his inn, they find the walls covered in Hillel's sayings. Sitio asks Jesus directly, "Are you like Hillel?"
Oh, wow, that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
How does Jesus respond to that?
His answer is interesting, almost poetic. He says, "I am hope."
I am hope. Simple, but powerful.
And then there's their encounter with Matthew, the future apostle. at the tax collector's booth.
Okay, so not exactly a place known for its welcoming atmosphere.
No. But Jesus interacts with him so calmly, like he already knows their paths will cross again.
I bet he sensed something special in Matthew.
He actually tells him, when the time comes, when I decide to plant peace in hearts, you will be among the first to know.
It's like he's preparing him, planting a seed for what's to come.
And then they follow Jesus to a house in Capernaum.
Okay.
And the pilots are surprised because he's moved there from Nazareth.
That's interesting. Any idea why?
Not yet, but they also note some tension between Jesus and his mother. Hints at a more complex relationship.
It makes you wonder about the dynamics within his family, right?
Right. We don't often think about those aspects of his life, but then things start to get a little strange at the house.
Strange how?
Eliseo gets sick, a dead bird shows up on the doorstep, and the pilots just feel like something's off.
Uh-oh. That sounds ominous.
They even try to use their futuristic tech to figure it out, but nothing.
Even with all that advanced technology, they're still in the dark.
Completely. And then there's this one incident. The family's chickens escape.
Chickens?
Yeah. And Jesus chases after them with a gardening tool.
A gardening tool? What, like he was going to attack them?
The pilots thought so too. They're terrified at first, then completely confused because, well, he's just rounding up chickens.
That's odd. I wonder what that was all about. Any other weirdness?
Oh, yeah. We learn the house actually belongs to a woman named Esther.
Esca. So Jesus is just living there. Why?
It's a mystery. And the pilots are also curious about those 4 years of his life that aren't mentioned in the Gospels, his secret travels.
It's like every answer leads to more questions.
But there's another problem brewing. A big one. Their time travel module, the Trojan Horse,
Yeah.
it's starting to malfunction. A fuel leak. And the environmental control system is acting up.
Uh-oh. That's not good. They need that to get home, right?
If it gets worse, they could be stuck in the past. But that's not their only issue. They have a run-in with this one-eyed man. They think he's trying to rob them.
Rob him. That's a new problem they didn't need.
Right. And then, to make matters worse, Jesus suddenly leaves Capernaum. His family has no clue where he went.
So now they're dealing with a broken time machine, a potential thief, and a missing Jesus. Talk about a bad day.
It gets even worse. Remember that one-eyed guy?
Yeah.
He and his friends accuse the pilots of theft. A chase breaks out. They have to escape by boat.
Oh, so they're fugitives now.
Yeah.
This is getting intense.
They're headed south along the Jordan River. Their mission's turned into a fight for survival.
It's almost like something's, guiding them, leading them towards specific events. Their path's definitely not random.
So they're swept away by John the Baptist's disciples. Under the cover of darkness. Where does this summons lead them?
To the riverbank.
Yeah.
And right into the middle of a standoff between John the Baptist and some Jewish priests. Tension's high.
Sounds like a tense situation. Does John do anything to diffuse it?
Sadly, no. In fact, his behavior's getting more and more erratic. Pronouncements of judgment, vengeance. The pilots start questioning his role as, as a spiritual leader.
Yeah, it seems like the opposite of what we've seen with Jesus so far. How do the pilots square that?
They're definitely troubled. John's words are filled with threats, calls for divine retribution, reciting psalms, but in a way that twists their meaning.
Almost like he's justifying his own anger.
Exactly. Makes you wonder about his whole role as a precursor. How can someone preaching wrath prepare the way for love?
It's almost like they represent two different paths, two opposing forces.
Makes you think about the different ways people interpret faith. The pilots are seeing that struggle firsthand.
So how do they react to all this?
They start to feel disillusioned with John. Sense this darkness within him. They decide to return to their time travel module, leave John and his followers behind.
Probably a wise choice, but I bet they can't just shake off that experience, right?
No, they can't. It's unsettling. That dream one of the pilots had, that mysterious figure claiming to be the true precursor.
Yeah, I remember. Seems pretty relevant now.
Almost like a warning.
Yeah.
Makes you think about how differently people can interpret prophecy. The pilots are starting to realize this story's a lot more complicated than they thought.
So what do?
They head back to their Trojan horse. It's hidden near the Sea of Galilee. But Eliseo's still sick, and they're still being hunted by that one-eyed man.
Right, time travel and ancient diseases. And now they have to worry about being caught.
It's getting dangerous. They have to stay vigilant. It's a double life, blending in while hiding this incredible secret.
Must be stressful. So do they make it to the Sea of Galilee?
They do, but more trouble. The module's still acting up. Limited window to return home.
So it's a race against time.
Yeah.
And a malfunctioning time machine. That's not ideal.
No, it's not. But even with all that, they feel like there's more to their mission. They're drawn to Jesus, want to keep observing.
It's like they're being pulled towards something.
They decide to get closer, rent rooms in Capernaum, in an insulae, kind of like an apartment building.
Ancient surveillance operation. I like it.
It'll put them closer to Jesus. They choose rooms with good vantage points.
Ancient history's most dedicated private investigators. What else do they do to prepare?
Well, some shopping. Handheld toilets, wash basins, sponges. Eliseo, he likes his comfort. Wooden pillows, cotton-filled duvet.
Makes them relatable. Time travel, but still gotta sleep comfortably.
It's the little things, right? So what do they learn about Jesus during this time? They discover he's been going back and forth to this village called Sidon, working at a shipyard. He's not ready to start his public ministry yet.
A shipyard. Not what I expected.
Right. Shows a different side of him. Not just a spiritual leader, but a skilled laborer.
Makes him more human, in a way?
Yeah. And the shipyard's not just about building boats. They extract tannins, craft anchors, all kinds of repairs. It's a community hub.
And Jesus is right in the middle of it.
Exactly. The pilots are fascinated. They watch him work, interact with people, note his skill, his patience, his leadership.
Maybe this is a time of preparation for him, grounding himself before everything changes.
It makes sense. And the pilots learn about shipbuilding. Keel, stem, stern post, planks fitted together with mortise and tenon joints, wooden pegs and bronze nails.
Wow, that's detailed. It's like we're right there with them.
Right. Challenges how we think about the past. Ancient builders were incredibly skilled.
They were. So the pilots are watching, learning. But do they ever actually talk to him?
They can't. You gotta be careful. Still fugitives.
Right, gotta stay hidden. Must be frustrating, though.
Definitely. But they have a realization. Everything he's doing, it's part of a bigger plan.
They're starting to see the bigger picture.
Yeah. His work at the shipyard, it's not just about boats. It's about relationships, connecting with people.
So it's about something more.
Exactly. And it's not just the work, it's how he treats people. Challenging social norms, showing respect and dignity to everyone no matter who they are.
Like we saw at the end, his compassion for the marginalized.
It's all connected. But not everyone likes it. The religious authorities are getting nervous. They see him as a threat.
So that tension with John the Baptist, it's spreading to Jesus now.
Yeah. Old ways versus new ways.
Mm-hmm.
Tradition versus change. And the pilots are right in the middle.
Big consequences for them. Do they get involved, knowing what they know? Or stay silent?
It's a tough choice. They're wrestling with their consciences.
It's not just about observing anymore. It's about their own beliefs.
Exactly. They're questioning everything. What do they believe in? What are they willing to fight for?
Their missions become something much bigger. So what happens next?
They keep watching Jesus. And they come to understand his work, his interactions, it's all building to something much bigger.
Like laying the groundwork.
Yeah. They see the seeds of his future ministry. He's challenging norms, offering hope, inclusion.
Powerful stuff.
It is. But their time is running out. The Trojan Horse is still a problem.
Right, they can't stay forever.
They know that. It's tough, but they decide to go back to their own time.
I bet that was hard, leaving a world they've connected with.
It was. But they take something with them. Memories, lessons, hope.
Their story's amazing. History, faith, time travel. Makes you think.
It does. But what about the shipyard? What happens there?
Well, for that, we'll have to dive into part 3. Last time we left our pilots with a tough choice. Stay or go, with their Trojan horse on the fritz. It's a tough one, especially since we still have that whole shipyard thing to unpack.
Yeah, the shipyard becomes really important here. We see Jesus as this craftsman, but also how he's already shaping his future ministry just by how he's in the community.
I'm still fascinated by how much more they did than just build boats, tannins, anchors, repairs. It was like a one-stop shop.
It was. And Jesus was involved in every bit of it. The pilots are watching all this, amazed by how dedicated he is, how genuine he is with the people.
They must be dying to get closer, but they can't, right? Fugitives and all that.
Exactly, stuck watching from a distance. But because they're so observant, we get this really unique view of a time in Jesus' life that most people skip over.
It's like they're filling in the gaps, showing us a side of him that we don't usually think about.
And they realize it's not just a job. It's like he's getting ready, grounded in the real world, before he starts his ministry.
So it's the skills, but also the relationships, connecting with all sorts of people.
Exactly. And the pilots notice he treats everyone the same. Rich or poor, it doesn't matter. just like his teachings later on.
Like at the end, that compassion for everyone.
Yep, all connected. But of course, not everyone's happy about it. The religious leaders, they're getting nervous.
That tension we talked about with John and the priests, it's coming for Jesus now, too.
Oh, yeah. It's the age-old story, right? Old versus new, clinging to the past or embracing change. And the pilots are stuck right in the middle of it.
Heavy stuff, knowing they could change things if they wanted to. Does that ever come up?
It does. They see what Jesus is doing, how people are reacting, and they know things could go bad. Do they step in? Do they let it play out?
Time travel and ethics, what a combo. It adds a whole other dimension to this story.
Definitely. They're not just along for the ride anymore. They're having to figure out their own beliefs, what matters to them.
It's not just about Jesus anymore, it's about them too.
And watching Jesus at the shipyard, they realize it's all building towards something huge.
Like they're seeing the early stages of his ministry.
Right. They see how he challenges the rules, how he brings people together, offers hope.
The power of small moments. Sometimes we forget that.
But even as they understand more, they know their time is running out. That Trojan horse is ticking.
Gotta be hard, leaving a place that's had such an impact on them.
It was. But they make the choice. Go back to their time.
I bet they left changed.
They did. They take those memories, the lessons, and the hope back with them.
This whole story has been incredible. History, faith, time travel, philosophy, all rolled into one.
It really makes you think. Makes you look deeper, ask questions.
If these guys, with all their future tech, couldn't fully grasp it, where does that leave us?
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Maybe it's not about having all the answers, but about keeping an open mind, about exploring history and faith and what it all means.
Well said. It's been a fantastic deep dive. Thanks for joining us. Keep those questions coming.